Okay. So we're going to see about Raja Ram Mohan Roy, who simplement Ram Mohan Roy. So he's known as, he's known as the father of the, Indian Renaissance because of all his reformers that he has done. He is also considered to be the very first reformer of the modern era. Okay, he's not the first reformer of all times, no, but of modern society, of modern era, right? That's why he's known as the father of Indian Renaissance. So normally, as you know, he has created the Brahmo Samaj, but before that, he firstly created the Atmiya Sabha, and he was born in Bengal, having a very pious family. And don't forget, he was a victim of child marriage as well, right? So just briefly about his life and about his education. He learned many languages, approximately 8 languages he learned. And not only Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma or the Upanishad and Sanskrit, but also he learned from Maulavis, he learned the Persian language, he learned the Arabic language as well, right? So he opposed many malpractices of the society, including polytheism, including child marriage, because he was himself a victim of child marriage. He got married 3 times when he was still a kid. He objected sati system and of course that problem of caste system, right? So Roy was a great reformer of the modern India, right? Indian society. He raised his voice against the sati system, the sati where the woman has to sit on the pyre, burning pyre, right? So we used to term that as sati. But sati actually means pure, sati means chaste, right? So misinterpretations of all things happen in the society. The Brahmins and other higher castes in the society encouraged it. Even the Brahmins encouraged the sati system. But this was definitely not written in the Vedas and the Upanishads. Okay. God cannot be cruel, no, to say that if your husband dies, you need to die. No, we can't take a life. We don't have the right to do that. God is the giver of life. We can't take the life, right? So there was a society at that time in the 17th, 18th century where Roy came up as a reformer to bring reforms towards this, especially towards women. He has a greater contribution there towards women and the caste system. So the sad thing is, so unfortunate point here is that even the Brahmins and other higher caste allowed and they encouraged the caste, the sati system, right? But on the Brahmins, their duty, as you know, the Brahmins, their duty is said to propagate the knowledge, propagate the knowledge of the Vedas, of the Upanishads, to teach people the right thing, the right way of life. But actually they failed in that. That's why we had such a malpractice, a big issue of sati system, right? So Roy, he protested for the sati system, and finally, in 1829, thanks to the help of Lord William Bentinck, that sati system was declared illegal, but still being practiced, right? He also raised his voice against idolatry, idol worship, surtout idol worship qui amène nous vers polythéisme, right? Polytheism, that is worshipping of many types of forms of God, right? And he even wrote his book Tufat ul Muwahhidin, right, where he favored monotheism, right. He criticized Hindus, idol worship by the Hindus. Right? He also rejected the Trinitarianism, which is, the Trinity of Christianity, of even Hinduism. Yes, yeah. At a point of time in his life, he was uh, quite influenced by Christianity. But then he realized, in the course of time, he realized that even Christianity believes in that Trinity, which lead to idolatry. Okay. Et au nom du Père et du Fils et du Saint-Esprit, right? So then he also rejected that, he opposed that, he criticized that. Donc he's don't forget now, he's the one who started all these reforms, and the other reformers which came later, they continued this job, right? So he opposed the idol worship, polytheism, rituals of many religions, right? Like Hinduism itself, like Christianity. And he advocated monotheism. He also advised people to be guided by their conscience. Ça, c'est souvent des fois, we don't do that, to be guided by our conscience. We just do what people tells us to do. Whether we like it, what is what is the reason behind, what is the significance behind doing it, we don't actually think about. Okay, we always go blindly. So he advised the people to be guided by our conscience. So Roy has written somewhere in his writings, I traveled in the remotest parts of the world, and I found the inhabitants thereof agreeing generally in believing in the existence of one being, who is the source of creation and the governor in it. Ça veut dire Lina beaucoup remote places of the world, where he finally concluded that majority of the people, they worship, they prefer, or bien they worship the existence of the one being. That is, they don't practice polytheism, they don't practice idolatry also, right? He then founded the Atmiya Sabha to do his reforms, right? He founded the Atmiya Sabha in 1815. I write it here. 1815. He founded the Atmiya Sabha, where he mainly his way of bringing reforms stated to educate, having discussions, having debates with people, especially with the head of societies, or bien head of any temple also, right? So scholars also, right? So he believed in that education was the proper way to bring reform. Right? When the Christian missionaries criticized him, he silenced them by writing a pamphlet and appealed to the Christian public in defense of the precepts of Jesus. In écrire un pamphlet, could write about the precepts of Jesus, the teachings of Jesus. Don't forget, he read the Bible, right? He read the Bible, he knew about it. Initially, he did not read the Bible, like on India, Quran, India, Bhagavad Gita, India, what is that, Upanishad, and on and on. He did not learn the Bible. Then there was a discussion among certain scholars where Roy felt that he's missing some information. He doesn't know things about Bible or what is there in Bible. And then he started reading that. And as we said, he worked a lot for women. As we always say that women owe him a lot. In India, women owe him a lot because some problem concerning women, the status of women, the place of women in the society. They needed someone strong enough to help them to take them out from those difficult situations. Dr. Roy did a great job in that. One we say is the sati system. He favored widow remarriage. Okay. When he is favoring these things, even Dayanand favored that widow remarriage. Ça veut dire quoi? Pas oublier de base, c'est quoi? All the teachings, their teachings, they are from the Upanishads, from the Vedas, from the scriptures. So the scriptures themselves disent nous que we can do widow remarriage if needed, right? So as we said in the beginning, the Brahmins, maybe they failed in propagating the right knowledge. Might be because of being money-minded, right? And also at a time, the Brahmins thought that they have a great authority. Le fait que c'est ban-là même qui educated, they know everything. Donc, they feel they have an authority. Donc, ce qui veut dire, c'est ça, tout le monde va follow, right? He also fought for the women that they should have parental property. In India, longtemps, even in the law constitution of India, and fille n'est pas nécessairement gain property. Pas comme si. And then he fought for that. If the boy is getting, the son is getting, the daughter also must get equal rights. He also influenced the British government to bring necessary modification in the existing law. This is something important. He was working together with the British. We British was there. They were the British government. They was there in India. The type aussi fait dominer. We can't deny that certain thing being. But Roy actually comme si in service quelque part, into inverted comma, bien sûr, like to get them involved in the reforms that he wanted to bring as well. Like Lord William Bentinck, for example, who helped in the abolishing of the sati system, right? He raised the voice against child marriage, against polygamy, and advocate women education. One of the greatest reform again. Education was reserved for the boys only at a time, and then he advocated for women education. And this was continued by Dayanand. Even other reformers travaillent sur ça, but mainly Swami Dayanand did that, right? He advocated women's liberty out and awakened them. At times women say, oh no, nous pas supposé faire ça, we are not taught to do so. Grands-parents, ils montrent nous comme ça, so we have to follow it like this. No, we have to come out of all these stuff, all these blind faiths, all these at times stupid traditions. Now, he opposed the caste system. Let's see how he opposed that. The caste system was a very ugly practice at that time. Probably caste system we have done last time. You have the Varna system normally, no? the Varna Vyavastha, as we say, the Varna system, which says that the society must be divided into four. It's just like the division of labor kind, no? Quatre categories d'immun, where we have Brahmins, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, where each of them, they do their prescribed duty, their job that they have to do, so that there is a proper functioning of the society, right? There will be stability, there will be balance in the society, in the economy, in the country, whatever, right? But then came, certain mindsets, certain misinterpretations, certain misunderstandings, where, surtout avec l'influence aussi de Manusmriti. Do mention that in your work if you're writing about this, Manusmriti. Still today in India, the Brahmin class, suivent Manusmriti. And Chandal ou bien Shudra, as we say, they should not enter temples, they should not do this or that, pas besoin intercaste marriage. Par contre, in chapters in Manusmriti could dire intercaste marriage is okay for certain people, but not for Brahmins, maybe. Okay, so Manusmriti consigne devient un petit peu partout. But the point is why we had that Manusmriti. With time, we got scriptures, no? Different scriptures with time, including the Manusmriti, which is one. In the new la loi, laws of the society, how we can live life. Parce que we cannot be 100% perfect as stated in the Veda, as Ved want us to be. We can't be that 100% perfect. So we had certain adjustments in the laws of the society qui ne trouvaient dans Manusmriti, right? But bien sûr, ça c'est une influence. Manusmriti had, ou bien still is having a great influence on these Brahmins, where then they had that hierarchy. There is a superior category in the society and an inferior category in the society. Especially the Shudra, as you know, the Shudra, where they are most of the time, I'm saying most of the time, they are illiterate or uneducated because of poverty, because of the family situations, so many reasons. Donc, je fais un travail que ne pas besoin great education for that. We don't need a certificate for that. For example, they just need certain skills, comme c'est ramassalté, right? Scavenger, just a certain skill, comment y balayer, comment ramassalté, tout ça. That's it, no? So these Shudras started doing this kind of job. And in India, Maurice nous pénalise dans sa façon là, but in India, we have it like the Shudras, they clean toilets. People, they don't clean their own toilets, especially the high caste. Mais normal, Shudras qui viennent faire ça, right? Et aussi des vidanges de reins, tout ça. These kind of people, they are believed to be untouchables because they do such a good job. So that's why they are not allowed to mingle. They were not allowed to mingle with Brahmins, with higher caste, or even entering temple to some. Okay, so that was the ugly face actually of the society, Indian society at that time, much after the Vedic time. Yes, yeah. So then the Indian society was fragmented by the name of the different caste. The problem is, refer to your Purusha Sukta when you are writing about the caste system, where in Purusha Sukta, it has been said that Brahmin come from the head and all, right? But we all come from one Brahmin, no one is superior, no one is inferior. Like the head is important, the feet also is equally important, no? If we don't have the feet, we can't walk. If you don't have the head, ou pas qu'à penser que nous besoin walk to go to a place, no? We can't decide something. So we all come from maybe different parts of the Brahman, but we come from the Brahman. Only one Brahman, right? So with time, even these 4 castes that we have, kin prescribed, kin written in the Veda, we had subdivisions now. And these subdivisions, c'est divisions qui créent par Bandimun. C'est pas God qui dit tout ça in the Veda or in the Upanishad that there should be subdivisions, right? Even the Maurice t'appelle ça Babuji and another thing, I don't know. Maharaj, Babuji, je sais pas quoi. But tout ça là, c'est supposé Brahman, hein, but I mean, ça aussi dans différentes catégories. Sinu and Brahman and lower Brahman and upper Brahman also, right? So this is not done. This is not the way the Varna was created. So we are actually practicing the Jati. So the higher castes like Brahmins and Kshatriya looked down upon the Shudras and the Chandal and other aboriginals. Ram Mohan Roy opposed this ugly system. To him, everybody was his son and daughter. Kumanujano, we are all children of God. Like, of course, Gandhi, who said the Harijan. For him, we were all children of God, irrespective of our caste. So there is no difference among men. This was what he believed, and this was what he preached to people, always referring to what has been written in the Vedas and the Upanishads. Right? He also said that there should not exist hatred and animosity among men, among them, sorry. That is, among the caste, different castes, there shouldn't be hatred. Par contre, in India, if we talk about the Indian society, there is. Everybody is equal before God. You can refer to Bhagavad Gita also, where Krishna stated that equal vision towards all, we are all equal. Thus, ignoring differences among themselves, they should embrace each other, ignoring differences. They should be embracing each other. Embracing pas veut dire nécessairement engueuler le type, but to mingle with them, right? To mingle with them. But the problem is, you know, Brahmo Samaj, when it was created at that time, the Brahmo Samaj, c'était plutôt pour an elite, no? The elite now, most of the time, they are not Shudras, right? Because Shudras, majority of them, they were illiterate people or uneducated people. So he's Brahmo Samaj, he was plutôt involving the elites, right? In the Brahmo Samaj, even in the Atmiya Sabha, which he created first, then he created the Brahmo Samaj. So reforms should be done at the gross level. No, c'est pas for the high society. It should start from the gross level, and it should involve everyone. Then the true purpose of God will be materialized. The true purpose of God. No? We are all one. We need to live in harmony. Nubadya Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. You can add it here. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole world is one family. It's not just to say in the Veda, it has been stated, but it is something to be practiced. This is what he believed and what he preached to people. He was always, when he was doing discourses, he was always mentioning about the caste system, how to involve people to some, right? By advocating this equality among men, Ram Mohan Roy became the ISO of many higher caste Indians. Right? So he tried his way through education, through education to um, to eradicate the problem of the caste system from the Indian society, which he was not 100% successful. Not even his Brahmo Samaj was 100% successful. But yes, he started the work. That is a great thing that he's the pioneer, no? He started the great work, which was continued by other reformers, which we'll see after. Well, concerning Western education, maintenant, in the schools, we were learning plutôt through Hindi medium, through learning the Sanskrit, and he wanted to introduce Western education, including English, without forgetting, without denying the fact that we should also learn the scriptures, the Vedas, as in Gurukul, ou bien the Sanskrit language to some. So why he wanted that introduction of the Western education, that was one way for him to bring reforms in the society, like physics, chemistry, philosophy, and all. Okay, parce que quand on dit mon educated, okay, he's going to learn beyond what is not only ce qui est dans Ved, etc., ou bien just what is taught there in India through the Hindi medium school. But when you learn through the English medium, you learn other subjects as well. Nous pour comme si become liberal, broad-minded, you can say, ou bien liberal. That is one of his great reform, even to get rid of that caste system, right? Parce que quand nous pouvons libéral, bien sûr, nous pas pour entangle nous dans caste system. We will think beyond that always, right? So he got great support from the British, bien sûr, right? From especially Lord Macaulay, he got great support from the British system. He established English school in 1816 and Vedanta College in 1825. So this is a proof definitely that Nipan Sarma focused only on English school, right? He introduced the modern system of education in India, right? But of course, he could not live to see the introduction of the system in India because he died actually, no? 33, I think he died already. So he could not see his dreams materializing. Well, that was not the problem because he already started the work, right? He also influenced the journalism. Public writings and speech was one of his way of bringing reform to teach people, right? So he is also known as the father of Indian journalism, right? He believed in the freedom of press and all. He wrote in newspaper. He was editor plutôt in newspaper in Bengali to some, right? So his editorials reflected important social, political problems, religious problems. Probably through journalism, he was propagating his message to the public. Donc his writings were so powerful that people were being moved by his words, right? But c'est ça the problem seulement parce que he was writing in English, right? And he was also writing in Bengali. Quite for a limited number of people. English, yes, sure, not everyone will understand. So this is what Robert Rickards wrote about Ram Mohan Roy. So Roy's writings are works that will immortalize the name of Roy and leave the future generation to wonder that English writing of so much beauty and excellence should be the production not of a natural born Briton, but of an enlightened, self-taught Indian Brahmin. Si tu as envie de carve code, ça not a devoir. It's up to you. I've just given it to you if you want, right? By Robert Rickards. He also gave many economic ideas for the country to progress. For example, rights, ancestral property, tout ça, right? Parce ça aide nous quelque part to bring reforms in the economy as well, right? He wanted the British authority to intervene in the affair of Zamindar to protect the peasants. You know, earlier in the society we had Zamindar, no? Those who were very wealthy people. The Zamindars would own by land to some. They were doing farming and all. So he encouraged the British he wanted actually the British to involve in their decision. Parce que zamindar parfois tu peux get dispuli. As you can see in movies, no? They get dispuli, money was their aim finally. So he wanted British to intervene in their affairs so that people can be at peace, people can be protected, right? Now, through the Brahmo Samaj, he definitely did all his reforms through it. Probably Premier Atmiya Sabha, and then he created the Brahma Samaj, which was then called the Brahmo Samaj later on, right? Where he did all the reforms, as we just mentioned earlier. The Brahmo movement, that is the Brahmo Samaj, gained momentum through Debendranath Tagore and Keshav Chandra Sen later on. Tasiban's successors of Brahmo Samaj. Thus, the creation of a healthy society, Brahmo Samaj, was determined. So, they were working for a healthy society, right? So, Roy is the champion of nationalism, right? You can especially believe in the political freedom of men, in democracy. He believed that. Yeah. He advised the Indians to have self-freedom in thought and action, irrespective of who is the person, which caste the person is. He showed a bright example of condemning the Jury Act of 1826, which had introduced religious discrimination in the law code. According to this act, a Hindu or a Mohammedan, which is a Muslim, could be tried either by a European or a native Christian, but not vice versa. So Ram Mohan Roy protested against it. No, it's all about to bring unity, in the laws, in the nation. He also wrote a letter to one of his English friend, Crawford, where he said that a country like India could not possibly be expected to be suppressed by force as Ireland had been. Ireland was suppressed by, the force, the government, the politicians. So India is not such a country. Parce que l'India est supposé être free, liberal, right? So he also went to London to plead a case on behalf of Akbar, the Mughal emperor, where he reflected on nationalism and all. Right? So these are briefly his work he has done for the society, which includes the caste system, right?